MorristownGreen.com.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much for joining us this evening and Saturday. Thanks everyone at this church for putting together such a wonderful event, bringing out so many people. Thank you, Carol Stiller, for all your years of tireless effort, spreading a message, getting people involved. And so I'm so glad to have this evening to talk. And I wanted to get to questions and have a discussion with all you guys. But before that, I was hoping to just say a few words and give you a little backstory of how this film came to be and how I came to be on the stage. Let's start with the title of the film, Living for 32. It's a title we chose to remember the 32 people who were killed at my school a little over 6 years ago now. 32 of my classmates, 32 teachers, 32 sons and daughters, moms and dads. I've learned since that day that on an average day in this country, we lose 32 Americans to gun violence. That's murders with gun violence. If you add suicides, if you add accidental shootings, you're up towards 80 people every day. But 32 a day for murders, I thought was remarkably poor. I didn't realize it was to that extent. But I don't think most of us realize it's that high. And while 32 people were killed at my school in one morning, there's a Virginia Tech that happens every day. And everyone knows what happened at Virginia Tech 6 years ago, but we wanted to help bring light to the kind of greater tragedy that happens every day that goes unnoticed, which is why we chose the name of the film. We also wanted to make this film to kind of show what it's like for some family to go through something like that, what it's like for a person to go through something like that. To put a face to a problem, I think most people think will happen to them. I mean, I thought it wasn't going to happen to me. Everyone will have something terrible that happens to themselves that comes out of left field and turns the whole world upside down. And another reason why I made this film is to show that you don't have to be remembered for those uncontrollable events themselves. You don't have to be defined by things that happen to you, but rather what you choose to do after the fact. How you choose to get up, how you choose to move forward. I think it's a better definition of who you are as a person and your character. And finally, we made this film to promote the radical idea that no matter who you are, no matter where you are, if you sell a gun to someone you don't know, you do a background check first. Simple as that. We only started doing background checks in this country in 1994. Before then, you were told to fill out a piece of paper and asked to check a box whether or not you had a felony record, or check a box whether or not you had a restraining order against you. And it wasn't until 1994, till passage of the Brady Bill, where she took that piece of paper and checked it to police records, to medical records, to make sure people weren't lying on the form. And since we started this background check program, it's blocked over 2 million transactions from happening where a gun would have fallen into the hands of a dangerous person. 2 million since 1994. I think if that number was 200 in the same time period, it would have been useful. Because we've seen what happens when one person who shouldn't have a gun gets their hands on a gun, but 2 million speaks volumes, and it's made an effect. But clearly, the system is not perfect. I wouldn't be here if it was. Now, what happened at Virginia Tech was a really simple case of a record not being sent to the right place. Because the guy who shot me was told to get outpatient therapy and not inpatient therapy. And because of that, his record was never sent over. They only sent it in for inpatient therapy patients, not outpatient therapy patients. So instead of getting the outpatient therapy he was told to get, he bought a Glock 9mm and a Walther 22 and a couple hundred rounds and came on our campus. When I learned something as simple, it was a file transfer could have altered that series of events, I was pretty shocked. So what we need to do, and what is being addressed in Congress now, is to get more of those records in the system. From states across the country. Not only are there some states that submit less than 1% of the records they acknowledge that they have, not only does that pose a problem in that state, it poses a problem everywhere else as people move around, things people travel. So the missing records is the first key part. And if we do that, if we achieve that, if we get as many missing records as we can into the system, but we don't require everyone to go through the check to begin with, what's the point? Why do we do it? we need to have background checks done on all gun sales, not just some. And the footage that you saw in this film from gun shows, I think most people, when they see undercover footage, they think it's some sort of illegal activity that you're watching. None of that was illegal. That was all perfectly legal. My question is, why is that legal? Why is it legal for me to walk up to a publicly advertised event, to a random stranger, put down $500 and walk out with a gun? And the answer I'm often told is, well, that was a private sale, so you don't have to do a background check. My question then is, well, what was private about that? That occurred in the middle of public, you said at a publicly advertised event, I think you should have to do a background check there. Most of them take 90 seconds once you fill out the paperwork. You know, I understand this is also, so both of these two issues, getting the missing records in and expanding the background check to all gun sales, is currently in front of the Senate. It's passed out of the Senate Judiciary Committee, it's on the Senate floor. I think I can pretty solemnly say that both of your senators from New Jersey will vote in support of this. I think there are some members of the House of Representatives here that probably need to hear from you guys if this is an issue you care about. You know, and that's why we made this film, is to have a conversation about this, to bring this to people across the country in places where we need to build support. We need people to voice their opinion. Because we've seen mass shootings repeatedly, with increasing frequency, it seems. I think we're becoming more aware of the daily toll that happens in this country. And after these mass shootings, in the past there has been outrage, there has been engagement, and it's faded. And it's just kind of went away. And because of that, things haven't changed. We cannot let things fade this time. I think what happened in Newtown, Connecticut was a tipping point for a lot of people. Like the shooting at Binghamton, New York was my personal tipping point. The shooting happened nearly 2 years after the shooting I was involved with. It was the first shooting I ever witnessed post recovery. And that was kind of my personal tipping point, seeing it again happen to somebody else with the same images that I saw associated with Virginia Tech. The police running, the yellow tape, the candles, the tears, just a different background. And I thought, why can't we do something about this? I learned about background checks, I learned a great deal, and it just kind of tipped at me, and I've been involved with the RAID campaign ever since. You know, I know that background checks is the one issue I think that makes the most sense for a lot of people. I think the one issue that most people think we already do. That's what I thought, frankly, we already did this. And we're shocked to learn that we only do it for some sales, not all sales. It's the one issue that has the most support in Congress already. There are some Republicans who have now come forth and stepped up and said background checks on gun sales make sense. So it's the one issue I think is the lowest hanging fruit, so to speak. It's not the be-all, end-all. It's not the one issue that's going to save every life, but it'll be the one issue that I think will make the biggest impact on keeping guns away from dangerous people to begin with. And it's the one issue that I wanted to talk about. I want to get people to understand on a different level, to see firsthand the problems of when a background check is easily avoided, and to ask them, to join me. And I don't share my story. I didn't make this film to get sympathy. The whole world gave me that the once after the shooting. Now I share my story to get your help. I need your help. No one can do this alone. Carol can't do this alone here in New Jersey. And so when people like you guys speak up, tell your elected officials, hey, this is an issue I care about. This is an issue I want you to support to protect me and my family. That's the paradigm we have to change. And it's only when you guys start speaking and we start coordinating on a big national scale, focus our attention on the specific people, we're going to get something done. And I know, like I said, it's not going to be the be-all, end-all. There are many other issues I think make sense, but this is the one issue I think we need to really focus on now. And if this can just make what happened in Blacksburg, what happened in Newtown, what happened in Aurora, Colorado, what happens to 32 of us on a daily basis, a little less likely to happen to another family, I think we've done good. So, thank you guys again for coming to see. That was kind of the introduction I wanted to give, and at this point I'd be happy to take any questions about the experience itself, the recovery process, my family, the work, how my NCAA bracket's doing right now.